Real stories.
Hello and welcome back to Real Stories, the podcast that celebrates the wonderful, magical world of stories. I am Rowan and I am with Tom. And Tom doesn't like saying his name, so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to say your name for you.
Yeah,
do you want me to do the rest of the show for you as well?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. So Tom's log line this week is... Oh, he's not put it in the notes.
I don't use those notes.
God.
Sorry, I should
Tom.
start using the notes platform.
That was really rude of me. Please...
Shall I say my sentence? And we've got two stories with us today, and we've got the mission of figuring out whether those stories are true or the narrative of a film. It's really hard to not sound like a robot at the start, because people will just start listening and be like, no, these two have got no soul. They've got no personality.
They wouldn't be far wrong, to be fair. I have a conversational starting point.
Okay.
So I was on the way...
This is why when people don't know how to have a conversation and they write down pointers.
This is probably the worst start to one of these we've ever had. I was on the way in on the tram, Tom, and I've noticed a worrying trend, okay? And I thought I need to talk about this.
Is it dabbing?
No, I wasn't on the way in 2018, so we're good. No, have you noticed, I think Manchester is breeding what I would like to term the mega pigeon.
I saw a massive pigeon the other day, but that wasn't in Manchester, that was in Krakow.
Oh, okay, well maybe they're getting out.
Maybe it's a global issue.
Maybe it's a global thing.
It's a pandemic.
Because a few years ago, pigeons used to be quite small. You'd get the heifer pigeons, the wood pigeons that were sat in the gardens making the noises that you used to hear in your nan's garden.
Yeah.
But now, like your bog standard pigeon you see in Piccadilly Gardens, massive.
But I don't think that's the core issue. I think that's a symptom of the fact that humans are getting more massive. We're consuming so much food that so much is going to waste, and the pigeons feast time.
They're having too many Gregs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's genuine the problem. The thing that concerned me the most though is that you see pigeons in a right state these days. They've only got one leg and one toe or whatever. But that always upsets me. But the other day when I saw this mega pigeon that was massive, he had everything.
He had everything that a pigeon could ever dream of.
He was the perfect specimen, which makes me worried that these mega pigeons are gonna just dominate and take over, and the sadder pigeons are gonna lose out on the Gregs.
What do you give the pigeon who has everything? My story today is amidst a struggling financial landscape in 20th century America, a stockbroker in financial ruin is thrown a lifeline in the form of a bizarre ultimatum left for them in their grandfather's will, and that ultimately led to a near fatal natural disaster.
Are you just telling the story?
That was one long sentence. That is punctuation to the max there.
It sounds very topical. The times we're in. Maybe we'll learn something. My logline's a bit shorter. A failed date leads to a happy family.
I like it though. Two ends of the spectrum. Both exciting.
Real stories.
Do you know anything about the early 20th century in America?
During the Great Depression.
Before/after that. They called it the Roaring Twenties. So my story is going to take place in 1920s. And it was called the Roaring Twenties because the US was apparently experiencing economic prosperity, but that was really only being experienced by the economically prosperous. Very much like today, the rich are rich, the poor are poor, and it's a million miles between those two things. And there was a lot of technological advancement around that time, and there was exciting things happening. I don't know what sort of technology was started.
Planes,
that sort of thing.
Trains and automobiles.
Okay. And people were getting so excited that they were spending money on these things, but it was money that they were being lent. So they were taking out these loans, which was putting them into debt. So there was a lot of debt in America.
Isn't that why World War I kicked off? Because everyone had just bought these incredible guns and that, and they were like, I am gagging to use these. They were just looking for any opportunity to have a bit of a skirmish. Yeah,
that's the only option.
Yeah,
but yeah. So it's a huge country of divide because the rich, they're saying, "Oh, what a prosperous time we live in," and the poor are saying, "Please, sir, can I have some bread?" Even though that's a very English story, so they're probably saying, "Hey, man, can I have a Pop-Tart?" Okay, but anyway, we're going to meet our protagonist for my story today, and it's a man called Jimmy Shannon. He was on the upper end of that spectrum, so he was one of those financially prosperous. Okay, he was the junior partner at a brokerage firm called Meakin and Shannon. So he's one of those partners. He's called Shannon. His partner's called Meakin. Can you tell me what a brokerage firm is?
No.
I actually Googled it and I thought, I'm not even going to write down what that is because that is so boring that it's not worth it. But they do some sort of stuff.
Apologies to all of our stockbroker listeners.
Viewers, yeah. No, so they essentially, they're like the middle people between people that are buying stuff and people that are selling it or something like that. I have no idea. Stockbrokers. We all know the term. We don't know what it means.
No.
So he's a stockbroker. But the firm Meakin and Shannon is in a major financial struggle and it's on the verge of complete financial ruin.
Oh, no.
Okay. And Jimmy's entire life is consumed by trying to find solutions to keep the company afloat, mainly for his own financial good. He's not thinking, we need to keep the business going. We need to keep that major ball rolling. He's just thinking, I need to keep my pockets fat and my belly fatter. Jimmy's trying his best to keep a very low profile, as is his partner Meakin. They because of times are so hard for their company, they're thinking everyone that they pass by might be someone that wants something from them. So it might be someone that's saying, you owe me money, or even more frighteningly, it might be someone who's come to serve the company deeds.
So they're just not talking to anyone?
No, so they're being very shut off. Okay, so him and Meakin...
Someone starts talking to them, la la la, can't hear you, la 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 la.
Talk to the hand because the face ain't listening. So they hide away whenever the office has visitors, which... It's kind of a vicious cycle because that's not going to help business at all.
No.
But they've got bigger worries. They're not thinking about business anymore. They're thinking about the general company and whether it's going to have a future. Until one day, they escape the office building. They've hidden from this guy who wants to come in. And they've hidden for so long that they're like, he's not going anywhere. So they make a run for it. They leave and they think, right, we're going to go to the only place other than work that stockbrokers know, the local country club.
Oh, okay.
Because we all have our local country club that we frequent.
Yeah.
It turns out that the person that wanted to speak to them was a lawyer called Caleb Pettibone. And they do... that was like the... What's the guy from... what's the racing thing called?
Wacky Race?
Yeah, you sounded just like the thing from that then. Anyway, so Caleb Pettibone is a lawyer and he's chasing them because he's got something for them, but they're running as fast as they can because they're like, you're not serving us those deeds, our company shall remain. He eventually catches up to them and he informs Jimmy that his grandfather... he doesn't inform Jimmy that his grandfather's passed away. Jimmy already knows that. Oh. But he informs Jimmy that his grandfather, Jabez Shannon, has left a will. And in that will, he has left Jimmy $7 million. Oh
my God.
Which in today's money would be around about $118 million. But there is a catch. I think I've said this a few times on the podcast before. Rich people do weird things, don't they? It's never really that straightforward with a rich person.
Rich people are weird. Have you seen that clip of Jeff Bezos coming down from one of his space trips with the guy from Star Trek? William Shatner.
Well, they went up to space.
Yeah, so Jeff Bezos went up to space with William Shatner.
I didn't know William Shatner went.
Yeah, they just did. They were like Katy Perry.
He didn't search far for that. I was like, who shall I take up to space? I'll just search Google.
Space guy. You'll do.
It was right. George Lucas or William Shatner. Yeah. William Shatner's going to be cheaper.
On. So they went up there and they come back down and there's this clip of William Shatner talking about like how emotional he felt and how like it changed him and he's really going deep, and Jeff Bezos is like barely listening and too busy of like these people in the background popping champagne, and he gives him about 10 seconds and then he just literally goes like, oh, give me that champagne, and then starts going crazy like in front of the cameras, and it's just like it's just not a normal human interaction. It's like it's a robot.
You do have to be at least part droid to make £1 billion, don't you? That seems to be the way.
It does seem to
your heart has to be at least 20% metallic to get $1 billion in the bank.
They're all freaks. Sorry to any billionaires listening. Actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah, to the billionaires and the stockbrokers. Right, anyway, Jabez Shannon, I don't know if you actually pronounce it as like that, Jabez, Jabez.
Okay.
He says, in his will, for his grandson Jimmy, he said, you can have this $7 million as long as you are married by 7 p.m. on your 27th birthday. The thinking around it is Jabez knew he was going to die, so updated his will and kind of like predicted when he might die because maybe he had some sort of terminal illness.
Right.
And he thought, I don't want Jimmy to make the same mistake as I made because he was all consumed by his work that he kind of didn't achieve anything in other areas of his life. So he didn't fall in love and run hand in hand into the sunset. He just worked.
Even Bartlett would be proud.
He would probably be on the Diary of a CEO right now if he was alive. So he said to his grandson, no, you can have all this money, and that would mean in itself that you don't have to work as hard because you're already rich. But you have to fall in love and get married first.
Okay.
It just so happens, though, that the day he receives this is Jimmy's 27th birthday.
Oh, no.
So by the law of this will, he has to get married by 7 p.m. on this day.
It shouldn't be too hard, because I imagine whoever he marries is going to get a piece of that money. So, I mean, I'd marry some bloke for 180 million.
If I give you 6 hours to go down to the street now and say, right, I'll give you £7 million if you can go marry someone.
I guarantee you I could do it.
You reckon?
Yeah. Should I do it?
Are people going to believe you? Go on. We'll meet back here in 7 hours.
Okay, hold on. I'll be back in a minute.
I'd like you to meet my wife.
Oh, no, I lost 118.
I don't think people would believe you, though. Like, yeah, if they had objective proof that this was true, but you've probably got to take your 6 hours just to convince them that you're not mental.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be love. It just has to be marriage.
Yeah, but they might not believe you, and it might take longer than the.
Well, what if I show them proof?
What's the proof?
The document that says you need to be married by 7 o'clock.
But I don't know if I'd believe it. Anyway, he did go straight to someone though, because he did have a girlfriend that he was madly in love with.
Oh, well, that's ideal.
Yeah, and he proposed to her, and she was straight away like, "Yes, Jimmy, I'll have you for life." Oh. Okay, but then he said, "By the way, we have to get married today." And the only reason I've proposed today is because it'll mean I'm going to get $7 million.
Yeah, well, she'll be like, fair enough. Yeah.
No. Oh, she said, "What am I to you?" She was like, if I want to be married, I want to do it how child me probably wanted. I want to be the princess for the day. I just want to get tossed down to the registry office. And
they can have another wedding.
She actually went one step further than saying no to the marriage. She said no to the entire relationship, and she broke up with him.
That is ridiculous. I don't think she liked him in the first place.
Maybe not. I don't know. They're all dead now, so you can't ask them. So Jimmy returns to the country club, and he tells Meakin and Pettibone, and Pettibone was the lawyer, remember?
Oh, yeah, Pettibone, yeah.
And he tells them, guys, it's not gone too well. Mary said no.
Bringing into Songhead.
Mary said no to me, and also she sacked me off, so I'm single now.
Double blow.
He's heartbroken. You know, he's added heartbreak to the mix here.
Yeah,
because he does love Mary. He would like to marry her in better circumstances.
Better, I think.
Meakin convinces him that he still has to try. He still has to propose to other women. Yeah. Just find someone like you are, you weirdo. You are just so willing to, like, yep, someone's going to marry me. They're going to get money.
118 million. Tom.
I know, but people have morals. People have hearts.
You can get divorced, though.
Yeah. Anyway, Meakin, he says, you've got to do it, otherwise we're both broke. Okay.
Yeah.
And they look as close as they possibly can. They go into the club's dining room, and Jimmy says, right, there are 7 women just in this room that I know. So that's 7 opportunities for me to sit down, convince these ladies, I'm going to be very rich if you marry me, so please marry me. He tries it. They all turn him down. Right, as all this is going on, Mary is back at home with her mother, and she's sobbing because she's heartbroken at her
Why is
breakup.
She heartbroken?
Because she thought that they had like this beautiful relationship. Yeah. We need to just get off them. We're clearly both on different pages. Okay. But her mum, she has your viewpoint here. She convinces her, no, you've got to give him another chance. Number 1, he'll make you very rich. Number 2,
he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, you love each other. Don't just break up because he's made an error. It was a situational thing. Don't think too hard about it. So she writes him a note, and on the note it says, I forgive you. I'll give you another chance. Meet me at my house today, and we will get married, and then we will live a life of prosperity. We will join that. She gives that note to someone that works for them, and they go to deliver it to Jimmy. Unaware of this, Meakin, so Jimmy's partner, posts an advert in the newspaper telling girls that they can wed a very wealthy man if they come to a church, like a specific church, at a certain time in a wedding dress. That's it. That's the only thing they have to do, and then they'll be very rich.
Why would they have a wedding dress already?
Well, maybe it's just something you could marry in. There was also a photo of Jimmy alongside this article in the paper, and I will say, I've seen the picture. He was quite a handsome man, and apparently Meakin thought this looker, alongside this fact of potential riches, there's got to be people that want to do it, want to come. So he crosses his fingers. And at 5 p.m., just as asked on this article, Jimmy arrives at the church, and hordes and hordes of women arrive. And Jimmy had actually fallen asleep on the front pew in the church. And when he woke up, he was overwhelmed by the amount of women that were there in hope of marrying. The church clergyman appears, and he basically says, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, guys.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you, all ladies now, this is probably a practical joke. This guy's...
It's Martin Lewis has turned up.
This guy's a muppet. Don't believe him. They kind of believe the clergyman. They're like, you know what? This is probably too good to be true.
Yeah.
And now inside them, they've got this really conflicting feelings where it's like, I really want this money, but also this guy's mugging me off. Jimmy is out the door. He's like, I can't handle this. Okay. I've decided... maybe the 7 million isn't worth it. I can't handle this. He runs, but the women follow.
Oh, no.
This starts.
It's terrifying.
One hell of a chase. It's a very famous chase. Oh. Okay. Jimmy ran through the city, and the horde of women followed. He tried to evade them.
How many people?
I honestly, it didn't say specific. Probably, I'm going to say 300. Which is why he tries his best to evade them in all these different ways. He goes in buildings and comes out. He tries to disguise himself. And at one point, he even grabs a crane as it like lifts up, and he thinks, oh, it's going to go up with me. But obviously the crane just stops. And then he's just dangling above the women.
Okay.
So he's kind of lost his sense, and he's just, the only thing on his mind now is, I'm going to get away from these people.
Yeah.
Jimmy hides, and he's found by the person that Mary had sent to deliver the note.
Oh, yeah.
And he reads it. So he now knows that Mary is at home. So he's now not just running to escape these women. He's running with a direction, with a purpose. He thinks, I need to go right now to Mary's house and marry her. And then we will both be rich. And more importantly, okay? It's more important.
I never said it wasn't,
He
Tom.
will be wedded with somebody he loves.
Yes.
He starts heading home. And they live slightly out of the city. So he leaves the bounds of the city and he goes a bit more mountainous. Okay. He's running down this mountain. And this is where the natural disaster element comes into it from the log line. Okay.
You could have. I completely forgot that was part of the log line, to be honest.
So this bit's a bit crazy.
All right.
He accidentally triggers some sort of landslide. Like, because he's running down these mountainsides that have probably not been touched in years because no one else is running down them. Only someone with desperation in their mind is running down them. And he trips over a stone, and that stone triggers another stone, and it metaphorically snowballs.
Oh, no.
And he has to now keep running, because if he stops, he's going to get clattered by one of these big stones. So as he tumbled, he did displace a large amount of stones and boulders, and he had to avoid them. He claimed later that surviving that was probably his proudest achievement. The avalanche also deterred the group of women because they watched him.
He killed them all, wiped them out in
No,
one
they
go.
stopped at the top and they were like, okay, we might have lost our mind a bit, but he's clearly lost his.
Him.
So he's now free of the women and he makes it home. But there's one final twist in his epic day here. He makes it back to Mary's house, opens the door, says, let's get married right now. And Meakin is there and he says, you're too damn late. You have to get married by 7 o'clock. It's just turned 7. And this is where his morals maybe stood out the most. He thought, I'm ashamed and I don't want Mary to have any of that shame on her. So he turned around, he walked back out the door. But when he stepped out the door, he saw the church that was adjacent to the house, to Mary's house. And he noticed that Meakin's watch must be wrong because on that clock there was 3 minutes till 7 o'clock. And Meakin had arranged for a priest, or whoever marries someone, to come to the house. So he runs back inside. They get married really quickly, just in the nick of time. And they're rewarded with enormous wealth. The end.
Wow. A happy ending.
A happy ending.
Oh, good.
Happy ending for them. There's still 300 women that thought they had the chance of being rich, but now they're back to their life of...
I love that all of that. He was like, oh, you should have seen that landslide, man.
That's sick. Fair enough, though. Massive They said boulders, like big boulders coming down the hill.
Yeah.
If I survived that, I'd be talking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Indiana Jones did one boulder and he
did.
He never shut up about it.
No, he didn't, did he?
So are there elements of this story that make you think it's true, make you think it's a film? Where are you looking?
Early on, I was leaning towards true. As it went on and it got slightly more slapstick, I thought maybe film. Especially, I think the bit that turned me was when you said he was dangling from a crane or something.
Oh, dangling. I think he like grabbed onto a crane thinking that the crane would go up.
Yeah.
It didn't.
And then the landslide element.
Yeah.
But, God, we've made this mistake before.
To be fair, the last few episodes, we've both been getting it right.
We have.
We've either got better at guessing or worse at telling.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you've ever got one wrong. I think it's true.
Think it's a true story?
Yeah, I'm going against what I think.
Okay. You're not convinced by yourself there, so I'm not convinced. Okay, you think it's a true story?
I think it's a true story.
Hand is going to the button. Your favourite moment of the episode? 3, 2.
No!
I'm upset.
Of course it's not.
You were so right as well, because it is a film, okay? It's a film called Seven Chances. It's a Buster Keaton film.
I might have even seen this.
Really? So it's from 1925. I watched it the other day in the way that filmmakers in 1925 intended for people to watch films. I watched it on my phone with AirPods in an airport.
Nice.
I've got a few things to say about it. Okay, so when I was telling the story, I kind of, the bit where he said that he was really proud of going down the mountain, that was actually Buster Keaton saying he was really proud of that stunt.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know about Buster Keaton, he was around when Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd were massive, but the thing that he had that nobody else was quite as good at was these ridiculous stunts.
Yeah.
He did one in a film called Sherlock Jr. where a house falls on him.
I saw that the other day, actually.
And Paddington riffs on one of them as well.
Yeah, in the in Paddington in Peru, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. When it falls on him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this story is true, but there's the story in that where he's like he was really depressed, and when the producers Buster Keaton, the producers were like, you can't do this stunt, it's too dangerous, and he's like, if it crushes me, it crushes me. So be it. But I'm gonna say I don't recommend that anybody watches this film.
Really?
Because it is just straight up racist.
Oh no.
There's because he's trying to find women to marry, and at one point he goes to this woman and taps her on the shoulder, and she turns around and she's black, and he just goes oh no, and walks away. People say, oh, it's just a film. It's a film of its times, but I don't care. Yeah. This shouldn't be. This is 100 years ago. There was an actor called Jules Coles, and he was just in blackface for the whole film.
Oh,
so the character who Mary gives the note to,
just because it's of its time doesn't mean it
that's
gets
not
a
an
pass.
excuse.
No.
It's of its times. I don't care.
Real story. This is the story of how three families connect in the strangest of ways. And it follows three sort of intertwining stories. And I chose this story this week because I think it's a good example of, you know how there's the whole thing about you don't choose your family, sort of chooses you. I think this is
Fast
a great...
and Furious.
Yeah, exactly. Family. This is a great example of that. So it's 2002 and we are in London. It's told by one person, but it's about a lot of characters.
You've had a few like that. So we're seeing this from one person's perspective. We've got a narrator.
No. So it's from a few, but it's told by...
So we've got a narrator.
Yeah, we know this story because of Will, but like I say, he's not really the main character. He's just a character in this story. So yeah, he's called Will Freeman, and he's a rich guy. He's well off. He lives comfortably off his father's success. He was part of the music industry in some way. I'm not entirely sure, but he sang on a very, very popular Christmas song. I'm not going to tell you what the song is, and I'm not going to tell you his father's name, just in case it gives away too much. So yeah, Will's alone. He doesn't have anyone really in his life. His father died. And it's Christmas 2001. He's pretty miserable.
He's just listening to his dad's song on repeat.
Just on repeat.
You would, wouldn't
Getting those royalties up, yeah.
It'll be lonely this Christmas. Hang on, this is a story of one person telling three people's stories. Is this a Christmas carol?
So then a ghost appears. No, it's not a Christmas carol because we're now going to after Christmas. And he meets three characters. So the second character in the story is called Marcus, and he's 12 years old. And he's living with a single mother. He's living with his mother, who's single. And she's the third character. She's called Fiona. And she is currently struggling with depression. And now Marcus is 12, so he's young, but he's very kind, and he kind of instinctively wants to help his mum. But he doesn't really realize that depression's a bit deeper than just being happy or sad. So he's always just trying to make her happy, really, even though she could be happy one minute and desperately sad the next. So he's very lonely. His friends actually stop hanging out with him because he's getting bullied so much. Because
that's not a thing to do, is it?
No, I know. But he likes singing. He's just going around singing all the time. So he's getting bullied for that. Fiona, his mum, is convinced that the problem with Marcus is that he needs to sing more. She's like, you make more friends if you just keep singing. They'll eventually realize this guy's pretty cool. Let's make friends with Marcus.
It's like she wants him to live in a musical, but that no one else lives in.
Pretty much.
I promise you, you see how popular Troy Bolton was in High School Musical? If you just do that at school, just bounce the ball rhythmically. Yeah, get your boys involved.
She's onto something. Together. But the problem is that Marcus doesn't live in a musical. He lives in a British secondary school in the 2000s. So they just take the piss out of him, basically.
In a lot of ways, that is the binary opposite of a musical.
Exactly. Will, let's go back to Will for a second. He's probably one of the most selfish people you meet, and it's him that's saying this, right? He's one of those that's like, oh, I only do stuff for myself, and he's really proud of it. He thinks it makes him look cool and edgy, and he likes dating women, but he doesn't want anything long term, so he's kind of just doing it for fun, basically. And he has a friend who is a single mum, and she sort of hints to him like, hey, like single mums, they're easy dates. And they don't want anything long term. So basically, he starts going to this single mums group, and he invents a child.
He goes to the single mums. Is he welcome there?
Single parents group.
Right.
And he invents a child. You don't have to take the child along with you. So he basically says, I've got a son. Yeah, I'm a dad and I'm single. And he basically uses it as a way to find women he could go out with. And it's here he meets Susie, who he goes on a date with. The only gripe is that she actually brings a kid along on the date. They just go to the park or something. But it's not her own child. it's Marcus, because it turns out Susie's friends with Marcus's mum, and obviously Marcus's mum's going through a tough period, so she said, "Oh, can you take him out for the day?" So this is how Marcus meets Will, and the date sort of is a bit of a disaster, really. And Susie's like, "I do not like this Will guy. He's a knobhead, basically." But Marcus is like, "This guy's cool. I like this guy." Unfortunately, though, and this is a bit sad, the day ends quite badly as they drop Marcus home and find that his mum has overdosed on pills, and she's lay on the sofa like near death.
So now Will is going to be Marcus's responsibility, isn't he? They're going to save each other.
In a way. So
where there's a will, there's a way.
His mum's okay. She's fine. They get to a hospital. But Will sort of makes a fateful error because he says, "Hey, Marcus, if you ever need me, I'm here." He doesn't mean it. He doesn't actually believe he'll even take him up on it, but he says it. But Marcus does take him up on it. Marcus is just like at his house constantly, right? He's just always knocking on the door, and he basically just wants to like hang out there. He's scared to go home after coming home and finding his mum in that state. But they kind of become close. Will quite likes having him around. And he sort of realizes we can make a deal here in that I'll make you cooler and I'll look after you. Marcus is 12.
Bit weird, this.
But Will says, "Look, if I buy you some clothes, make you look cool, and you can like hang out here and stuff, and in return, could you pretend to be my son, and I'll keep going on these dates with single women, all right?"
Yeah, okay. That checks out perfectly.
So he goes on one of these dates with someone called Rachel, who actually works at Marcus's school. So I think Marcus might have known her already, right. Maybe even set them up, I'm not sure. But Marcus is kind of difficult on this date. He's there. He's kind of awkward, and he kind of ruins the date for Will. And the irony being that Will actually thinks, "I actually really like this woman. I'm not just trying to get it on. I actually think she's quite cool."
Wow, okay.
Which is nice. Which is good.
Especially for Will, because Will's not got much of a heart, has he?
No.
She's defrosted his heart.
Exactly.
Which means she must be hot.
Yeah. So yeah, Will blames Marcus. They have a big argument. And Marcus is like, "Look, you're a knobhead. You're selfish. I want you to help my mum more, and you're not."
This took a turn all of a sudden. Things are going well.
He's like, "I want nothing to do with you anymore."
Someone's hit puberty.
Will's like, "Well, you keep turning up at my door. I don't want anything to do with you. Like, you just keep appearing." So anyway, they go their separate ways. They have a big falling out, and they don't see each other for months. In the meantime, Marcus is still trying to find ways to make his mum happier. She's still struggling. And his mum says, "I'd love it if you..."
What?
His mum says, "I'd love it if you..."
You've got tears in your eyes.
She says, "I'd love it if you joined the talent show." She says, "Look, I love you singing. You're a great singer. You're a great singer. I want you in this talent show, man." He's like, "All right, I'll do it. If it'll make you happy, I'll do it." So he signs up. He starts practicing for this talent show.
You know, I didn't nearly went on a talent show when I was younger. Me and my dad nearly went on Britain's Got Talent.
Really?
He was going to play the guitar and I was going to sing, "Come on." No, "You say it best when you say nothing at all." But I was about 9 and I had the lyrics taped to my roof above my bunk bed and I used to read them as I fell asleep. And then I came to the realization that I can't sing. So I was like, probably not best. Probably
at 9, you might have got there.
Yeah, I bet I'd be a meme now if I went on. Because my dad was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, actually, no. I can't
Why didn't
sing."
you do magic?
I probably would have got the golden buzzer then, before they'd even invented the golden buzzer. Me and George
Probably.
Sampson going head to head in the final, I reckon.
I agree. Meanwhile, Will, he sees Rachel again, who obviously he mucked up that date with earlier. And he's like, "I'm really sorry." But so he basically comes clean. And she's still not like happy with him, but she's like, "All right, fine." She says, "Oh, well, you know, I'll see you at the talent show." He's like, "What talent show?" She says that she says Marcus is singing in the talent show, and he's like, "Oh my God, Marcus can't sing."
Well, Will's saying this.
Will's saying
That's not very nice.
Well, he's a knobhead, isn't he? Right. So he's like, "Marcus can't sing. We need to stop this." So he rushes to Marcus's mum, Fiona, who's currently at one of these single mum meetings. They all now know he's not a single dad. So they're like, "Boo, get out." But he says, Fiona, we need to stop Marcus. Okay, right.
Marcus is. We need to stop Marcus because he's about to do the talent show and he's got no talent. So people are going to bully him even worse, and things are going to be worse than they were off beforehand.
Yes,
and it's all going to be my fault.
Yeah,
because the only thing I've done is add a moody arsehole to his life.
So they rush to the school, right? It's too late. Marcus is just about to go on stage. The teacher's
it's not too late then.
Well, the teacher's
just
like,
about to go on.
down, get down, right?
Yeah.
Then you can't just run up there, right?
Stop!
Yeah.
That boy's got no talent. Don't let him on stage.
Yeah, it's not what you want your mum to hear. You don't want your mum to say that just before you go on stage.
They say it's important that parents show up for their kids when they're doing things like this.
Yeah,
but maybe
exactly.
not if you're going to shout that.
Not like that. So Marcus goes on.
Are you going to be able to get through this bit?
I don't know why this is making me laugh so much. He starts singing and he's really bad.
In my head, he's about to sing that song that's like, I'm the brightest star there's ever
Oh, from the
been.
Nativity?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't sing that.
Oh, he should have done.
I'm not sure what he sings, but yeah, he's singing and he's bad. He's really bad. Everyone in the room's laughing. All the
You see,
kids are
this is
laughing.
why I didn't do Britain's Got Talent.
No, exactly. All the bullies in the room were going, ha ha. But, you know, he's doing it, right? And he's doing it for his mum. You got to admire that. And his mum,
that's class from him.
His mum's in the audience going,
Shut the fuck up.
no, his mum's saying, this is great. Love this for him. But at the same time, she's like, I can't let him do this. But she doesn't have to worry about it for long because Will jumps up on the stage.
Yes.
Right? And he basically grabs, I don't know, if he grabs like an instrument, a guitar or something, and he just starts acting like a fool. I think his thinking is, if I look like an idiot, no one else is going to remember him. They're going to remember me.
Yeah.
So he starts being even more of an idiot and he just starts like messing around and that. And people start laughing, but it's more like they're laughing at him and they're laughing with him now. So they're like, oh, look at this funny guy. Isn't he funny? Talent show ends. Everyone's like, Marcus, your dad or whatever they think he is. He's a cool guy. And they stop bullying him.
It's that simple. You see, art
so
fixes
you should have
everything.
gone Britain's Got Talent.
If anything's ever wrong, sing, dance, do some art, look out the window and paint.
Next Christmas comes along and Will's spending it with a family this time. He's
with
not
a
alone.
family? Is he with? So he's with his mum and Will? He is
no.
Will. He's with Marcus and his mum.
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, sorry.
He's with Marcus and is Marcus's mum Fiona, and he's also with Rachel, who has started dating him again because she now sees he's a nice guy. Because she was also
She was also
there
at the talent show.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
she works there. So she's like, yeah, this guy, he's cool, man. And they become a little family unit, an unlikely family. They all come together and they look after each other.
Straight away, that has the formula. Also, I'm so glad you got through that so seamlessly.
I don't know why the idea of this talent show made me laugh so much.
That has a formula, though, doesn't it? That so many films have done. There's one definitely in my mind that the bit of the talent show where they all come on stage, that exact thing happens in Little Miss Sunshine.
Only Will came on stage.
But it happens in Little Miss Sunshine, doesn't it?
I can't remember.
Where Olive, the little girls, because she's doing a fashion show.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone's,
yeah.
she's like,
Steve Carell comes up.
yeah, they all come up and they're all like, woo. Same vibes. And there's so throughout the story, I was like, oh, now it sounds like this film. Oh, now it sounds like this film. Sounds like Get Hard sort of vibe where I don't think this is a true story, but my prediction is it's either going to be a film or it's going to be a true story. And Marcus went on to be
someone.
Well,
there's links to the music industry.
Because of the parallels to so many of the films, I think it's a film.
It's a film?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Tom, you are. You're correct.
Good job.
You're correct.
I feel like potentially I've seen it, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I don't know. I've seen films in this realm.
If you had to take a guess.
I don't know.
Okay.
But when you say it, it'll probably ring a bell.
It's about a boy.
With Hugh Grant?
With Hugh Grant and a little Nicholas Hoult.
Really?
Yeah. It's it's a 2002 film. One of the better Hugh Grant films from his era when he was just
doing
a good-looking lad.
Yeah.
I really like this film because my nan used to love this film and it used to just always be on, and it still is. It's always on ITV2, and I just think it's nice.
I can see why. It sounds like it's got good vibes.
It's a nice film. It's quite funny as well. Bit where they go on a date to the park where Will meets Marcus. There's a bit where Marcus throws a whole loaf of bread at a duck and kills it, which is quite funny.
We shouldn't laugh.
No, we shouldn't laugh. I like ducks. But yeah, it's good. I'd check it out. And it's got a soundtrack by, what's he called? Manchester guy. Badly Drawn Boy.
Real Real stories.
Okay, Tom, it's time for our real recommendations of the week.
Yes. So I know these are always last minute decisions for me, but I'm not going to recommend the film Priscilla because it's not because you shouldn't watch it. It's a great film. Sofia Coppola is an amazing director. But I'm going to recommend The Making of Priscilla, which is a behind the scenes documentary. It's made by a young girl called Liv McNeil, who herself has an interesting story because during COVID, she made this 2 minute short film, put it on YouTube. And Hollywood was basically like, you're something. And the director of Women Talking, Sarah Polley, contacted her and was like, I really like your mind. I like the way you perform. Do you want to be in my next film?
And compliment.
And she was cast in Women Talking as one of the main roles.
Yeah.
And also Sofia Coppola said to her, do you want to come along on the journey of Priscilla with me and make a behind the scenes documentary?
Oh, that's cool.
So it's worthwhile for two films. Yeah, it's worthwhile because you get to see the making of this incredible film by an amazing filmmaker, which is always valuable for any film fan or filmmaker to see the behind the scenes of the best. And also you get to see one of the first projects of someone who most likely is going to go on to do
good stuff.
Wonderful things. So The Making of Priscilla is my real recommendation of the week.
So my recommendation this week is Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh yeah, Craig Gillespie film.
Yeah, I'd always seen clips of it. It's like one of those films you just see clips of all the time, and I just thought that looks strange.
Because people love clipping Ryan Gosling in all his older films. Like, look what he did before he was Ken.
Yeah. But like it's a really nice film. I was expecting it to be like a full blown comedy, like look at this loser, but it's really not. It's like it's properly like sensitive, and the way basically the plot is Ryan Gosling's character. He's sort of struggling with loss and everything. He's quite socially awkward, and he gets a sex doll and basically just says, "This is my girlfriend," and talks to it like his girlfriend. And everyone who around him, like his family and that, just kind of go along with it. The whole town goes along with it because they like him so much, and it's just nice. It's just nice to see that.
Weird is nice.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Weird,
and it is funny as well. And Ryan Gosling's really good in it. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And yeah, like you say, the director gone on to do I, Tonya, Dumb Money. Other films are good. So yeah, I would recommend it for anyone.
I would too.
Yeah,
good film.
Real story.
So before we go, first of all, this week we'd like to thank our sponsor. And this week, our sponsor, only Tom knows our sponsor this week. Tom, do you want to let us know?
Normally you say something here and I have to ad-lib some sort of fake sponsor. But this week, the power is in my hands.
Oh no.
And this week, our sponsor is Delightfully Dunkable Malted Milk.
So the thing about dunkable malted milks is, have you ever wanted a biscuit that's dunkable, contains milk, and one other word that you're not entirely sure what it means? Because if you are, then I would certainly suggest dunkable malted milks, because you know what dunkable is, you know what milk is, but what is malted? So I would suggest have a dunkable malted milk with your next brew.
Nice, I like it. I don't know what malted means, actually.
Idea, no. Oh, sorry. Am I doing usually the...
Do you want me to read it this time?
Yeah, you do it.
I've never read this out before.
If you're the sponsor guy this week, you can do the full thing.
I can do it. So we'd also like to thank our other sponsors, Q Podcasts. If you're looking to start a podcast of your own, or you want to take a pre-existing one to the next level, Q is the professional production company you goddamn need. They helped us get our podcast sounding and looking great, so the proof is in the pudding. Just to toot our own horn there. We're awesome. Whether you need a way to advertise your business, have a story to tell, or just think you've got a great idea, give Q an email at hey@qpodcasts.com or head to their website, qpodcasts.com. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode, because you would be foolish to do so because it's a laugh and second on Real Stories.
Don't we have fun?
And in the meantime, why not check out our socials? We got some TikTok comments the other day.
We got TikToks.
Got TikTok comments, didn't we? We got interactions.
What did we get?
The video
was
about
guy that just says first.
Yeah, first and last. No, we asked the question, "What do you miss from childhood?"
Oh,
and
yeah,
two people
we did,
commented.
yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah.
Wow, they're not
guy
bots.
said, "Can I make a den with you?"
Yeah, I was like, yes, you can if you would like.
Yeah. I'll make a den with that guy.
Would also love to hear your own reel or reels. Please send them in via the Google Forms link in the description.
Keep sending them in, guys. We're overflowing.
And now it just says, until next time. That's quite nice. I'll do that again, actually.
All right, okay.
We'll swap roles for a few weeks. You can do the sponsors.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Real stories.